I remember years ago, the first time I ever went to London. Have you ever been to London? It's a great city. I love that city. They have something that is so incredible. It's called the Underground, the Tube. I've been on subways all over the world, but I love the London subway system. I just think it is so cool. You can get from here to there, and they got great names like Piccadilly and all these great names, Bakerloo and Victoria and all these incredible names. But what's interesting is that they go everywhere. You can get anywhere in the city, this huge metropolis. You can get anywhere, except there's a huge problem. It was started in the 1880s, I think, to now, and they're always building, so there's 5 or 6 different train systems inside the tube. So there's big trains, there's little trains, there's low trains, there's trains I have to duck when I go into, and all the platforms are different. There's platforms on the curve, there's tall platforms, there's low. Why? Because they've been built since the 1880s, all these platforms. So you have all these different sized platforms, you have all these different sized trains, and they all have to work together. So they were having a problem because people were tripping going into the train. Every time people tripped going into the train because they were different heights. And in the 1960s, they were going to make all the platforms and all the trains the same, and they said, we can't do it. It's impossible. It is impossible to make the trains perfect. So you know what they did? It is ingenious what they did. Somebody, I don't know who it is, I saw his name, in the mid-1960s, he made up a 3-word statement. 3 words, and has changed the life of subways in the world. Do you know what those 3 words are? Mind the gap. Mind the gap. Now, we as Americans don't know what the word mind is. If you're from the British Commonwealth, you do, but mind means be mindful of, or be careful of the gap. Now, when you go on any train in the underground tube system of London, 2 things are, there's a gap this way, and sometimes it's very close, sometimes it's 1.5 feet wide, and there's a height difference. The train is a different height than the platform. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. And you are always told, before they say you're entering Hyde Park, they go, mind the gap, in some British accent, you're entering Hyde Park. And then you know. Now here's the problem. When I go to London, I'm too cheap to take a taxi, so I take the Underground. And I have 2 50-pound bags with me. And I'm carrying these 2 50-pound bags, and I usually have my wife who has 2 50-pound bags, and we have 2 others, and we're all rolling these 100 pounds of bags, plus a backpack, plus a camera bag, plus a purse, and all these things, and we're rolling it, and I hear, mind the gap. And I cannot get all this stuff from here to there, and you only have 8 seconds to do it in. And there's people running all around you. Until my son went to school in London. And so Elizabeth and I fly to London to visit him. We have our 200 pounds of bags with us because we're always giving clothes away to everybody, and we're doing these things. And there's my son. And he says, let me take your bags. And so we could mind the gap while my son carried the bags. This is what Christ is saying. He wants to carry your bags because it is difficult to mind the gap when you're carrying a bunch of baggage behind you. It's almost impossible. You rip the bags open, all kinds of havoc occurs. I've done it, I know it. And we're all carrying these huge bags behind us. And we're hearing, mind the gap. And God is calling and saying, let me take your bags for you. Let me take what is behind you so that you can deal with what's in front of you.